Yeah, absolutely. Give her a round of applause. Thank you, for the room host. Woo. All right, Michael, you gonna bring the slide up? Intro the what we're doing here today. We'll remove the Roku code. All right, so hey everybody. So again, this is the MoCap, which stands for motion capture, and FaceCap, which stands for face capture workshop that we'll be doing. My name is Brandon Hollingsworth. I'm with Brandy Pixel, and I'm our Chief Operations Officer and Chief Creative Officer. And this is my good friend and business partner right over here, Michael. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. How's this mic doing? Mic check, Can you hear me?
Barely.
Barely? All right, let me adjust this a little more. How about right now? Mic check, mic check. So we may need some tech support on this.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll just speak up that Michael Thoenes, we decided to take this plunge into motion capture when we wanted to build our show Cubekins. And you can see an image there of one of the actors. Harrison Stone is his name, and Harrison put on the suit and the face capture device, and he operated our Finn character for the show. So that's a little shot of that. So
absolutely. All right. So I was gonna. Is it okay if I pray?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fantastic. And I think you can hear me better now. Is that correct? Great.
All right. Awesome. So again, thanks again for coming today to the Dad Bod Cosplay Championship. We'll pray and then we'll get started. Hi, King of Heaven, we just come before you. Thank you so much, Father, for being a creator God who imbues us with creativity. Father, help for us to harness these gifts of creativity for your glory and for your kingdom, and to expand your kingdom here on this earth and to spread your gospel. There are so many children and people out there, Father, who need to know you and who are being wiled away by the world. And so help us to capture them into your grace. Help us to capture them for your name, and help us to capture them and bring them, Lord willing, into a saving relationship with your Son. Be with us today, Father, as we go through this workshop. Be sovereign over the technology. As we often say, you are the Lord of electrons, and so help all these electrons to flow smoothly. And just help us to have a good time and learn. In your Son's name we ask it all. Amen.
All right, awesome. We're going to move forward to the next slide, which will be about just motion capture in general and what it is used for. And also for the purposes of our demo, we're really talking about the capture of recording specific movements of a person, Brandon being our actor, and then translating them to a computer-generated or computer graphic image. So that's what we're calling motion capture for our uses. And it's not limited to animation. The military uses motion capture for even things like target tracking and very, very national defense kind of things. But they also do games. They call them serious games, where you might be doing military scenarios and military games. It's used in live entertainment, which we actually were experiencing some live entertainment here earlier, where people were just enjoying playing around with a live character. And you can do live performances, at an event where people would come and sit and you just do something, and it'd be just of the moment, like theater. And sports, it's used in sports to track players on fields. And there are different kinds of motion captures, but a lot of people don't realize in professional sports, these actors are being optically tracked, and it helps them place advertising on the fields and figure out how to use the field as a green screen and, do all that stuff. They're also tracking all the players on soccer fields so that they can get stats on how many miles they ran and what they, have done for how many kicks they made, and medical applications, because you can demonstrate a walk. So Brandon has a certain gait. That's what you call a person's walk. And if somebody has problems with their knees, or they need to improve their walk or their golf swing, then you can use motion capture to get medical data. And validation of computer vision and robotics. Somebody had proposed a scenario of stop motion. You can you can set up a computer system that then either robots will be sensing things and other things, or you could have Brannon driving with his body movements the behavior of a mechanical system like a robot remotely. Maybe that robot's going into a fire or something. I mean, you see this stuff sci-fi on TV, but we both worked in the defense industry, and I can tell you it's really happening. It's just sometimes doesn't work as well as it does in movies. And now we're talking about film developing, video game development, and animation. And I think that's where our heart is to reach a generation for Christ in this space of animation, filmmaking, video gaming, XR, VR, all that. We just feel like if you look at the statistics, film has a very huge multi-billions of dollars of consumer base in the world. But you look at video games right now, and it's a factor of 3 to 5 times bigger. And I'd say in general, the audience here is younger than us. And let's show of hands, who in here has actively played video games in the last year? Yeah, so video games are a huge part of our culture, and that market's just growing around the world. The software we're using, the Unreal Game Engine, which I can bring it over here, which we demonstrated the other day, was used to create Fortnite. And who in the room has ever played Fortnite? Well, yeah. So the company, I think, made roughly $2 billion on Fortnite.
There's probably another third that played it that aren't admitting it, I think. So, yeah, I knew there was at least a couple of them.
They make this tool free now for people like us to play with and use. So that next, let's talk about the different kinds of motion capture systems. This is just I want to give you a framework where the system that we're demonstrating fits into the hierarchy of systems. And on the high end, you have these optical motion capture systems that have been around for a long time in Hollywood, which use cameras or some kind of light sensor to get the data off of little markers, little white balls or whatever they put on a person, which you see in the suit. And Brandon, how about you tell them a little bit about these images here and Mad Marker?
Yeah, so sure. Mad Marker is a company based out of Wisconsin that they, an associate of theirs in New Mexico, reached out to us about 8 months after we kind of formally, began announcing that we were a Christian animation studio and we're releasing our first product, Cubekins. And they said, hey, we're believers as well. We love what you guys are doing. And we've got access to all this, multi-thousands of dollars worth of equipment or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And our motion capture is now your motion capture. We believe in what you guys are doing so much. We want to partner with you. And so literally these guys worked on Avengers. They did face capture and cleanup for the first Avengers movie. And because they're believers, because they see us making a stand for Christ, trying to reach a generation, they're like, we want to work with you. And we're like blown away, right? Because we're just a couple of doofuses in North Alabama, right? Hacking this stuff out in Michael's living room. And these guys contact us and go, we want to work with you. And now we're partnering with them on several new endeavors. One of them is going to be a really high-end sci-fi action adventure that's we hope you guys are going to love. And so keep track of us on social media, connect with us later to get all that info. But there is a definite thing to be gained by being overt and being bold and stepping out and saying, no, I'm gonna charge the gates of hell for the King for Christ, my King. So
yeah, and
really excited.
And it just echoes everything we're hearing today. How God just brought resources to us. In fact, our first MoCap suit, which we'll tell you a little story about that when we get to that slide. There's a story like that there, but it's just God bringing resources to us as we need them. We would pray regularly for God to provide not only the work and the people to work with, but also the equipment as we needed it. And it is, you can run with a great peace about it, but I won't say there aren't days where you're a little scared that it's not going to all show up in time, So my faith is not 100% rock solid all the time. I have days of doubt, and then I have to go to the Word, and I have to just remind myself that to put that doubt aside and have faith that if it doesn't happen today or tomorrow, it will happen in God's timing. And please give us some meaningful work to do right now. So I put the dollar signs on here like they do on the restaurant things, like on Yelp and stuff like that. So you could add more depending on how big this got. But let's go down to the $1 sign, okay? So things you could go play with, provided that you have an iPhone, or even in the case of let me talk about these tools here. These tools use video, depth cameras, and artificial intelligence because it knows what a human being, artificial intelligence programming knows what a human being is supposed to be able to do. Like it knows that elbows are not supposed to bend backwards, and it can capture video or depth camera stuff from your phone, and then it can provide a good approximation, a simple skeleton of what a human being does. And this is the Moves by Maxon, which is part of a program, works with a program called Cinema 4D. This Animate 3D is a web service where you can upload a video recording of yourself doing a performance. System will analyze your video. Generally, you'd want video that has a neutral background, like I wouldn't do it in front of a forest of trees, for instance. But so it could see your silhouette clearly and analyze, and it will provide you a data file that is a motion capture file you could use in 3D software. And then here's an app called the MoCap, which uses the iPhone 14 or newer. And again, it's a very simple skeleton, but it uses a combination of the depth camera and the new LiDAR camera, which is a laser. Does anybody know what LiDAR stands for? It's laser something.
Yeah, I used to know.
Yeah.
I worked on a program where they developed.
Well, it's a laser-based scanning tool that also detects depth and range, and so it can measure the human form and then create a skeleton. So that's on the. They probably get a couple of seconds for free on some of these, and you can do a trial for free and just play. If you want it, you can buy the app. And we're not here promoting any particular tool or app. It's just, I want you to know you can get in for dollars, right? And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. Now we're talking about this kind of suit, which is the inertial motion capture system. And what do we mean by inertial, Brandon?
So inertial is it's very similar to the sensors that are in your iPhone, so that when you're playing a game, it knows when you tilt or when you move your phone or where it is in space. So this suit, and we've got a suit up here, by the way, for everyone at the end. If you want to come up and you can actually examine this suit and look at the sensors inside of it. Don't examine this suit while I'm inside of it. That would not be good, but you can examine this one. Believe me, you don't want to examine this suit while I'm inside of it. But it has sensors that track points of my body as they move through space, right? The physical reality that I'm in, and they then translate those points to the character in virtual space, right? So, and yeah, this little headband here is not for fashion. I'm not trying to look like, a 70s pop star. It has a sensor on the back that tracks my head motion. And so that's the Rococo system that's over here on this side. That's the one that we are blessed with currently. We actually started with this system here, the perception neuron, which, as you can see, looks a little bit more indie. It's like somebody just had a whole bunch of Velcro straps and attacked a guy. And that's pretty much what it is. And it was a neat suit to start with. We were actually blessed with that suit. We were praying about wanting to get into motion capture, and we're doing some tests. And we didn't have the $2,000 that this suit cost at the time. And a guy happened to be over at Michael's house, and we were just chatting about what we're trying to do. And he says, "Oh, you need a motion capture suit? I've got one I'm not using. Here you go. You can have it." So again, God answers prayers, right? So we were able, absolutely, praise God. So we were able to do a lot of the stuff. If you go to our website, you'll see a lot of robot stuff. There's a lot of really cool robot footage. And we were able to do all that with this perception neuron suit. We found that it was pretty good, but it has a lot of issues with metal. Metal interferes with it, as it does this suit, but really more so with that. And we had a lot of problems with what's called drift and with this suit. And drift is where you'll see, we're going to demonstrate some drift here in just a bit. But drift is where the system stops tracking you or stops understanding where you are in space. And so even though I may be walking in this direction in 3D space, I may be walking, sideways in that direction because it doesn't understand where I'm at in physical space. So.
All right, very good. Thank you, Brandon. And one more suit that's up on the board here is the XSense suit, which we have not had the luxury of trying out, but it is a higher price suit. And to give you some reference, this suit was roughly $2,500, and the online services run between $30 and $60 a month to run the software. Although there is a free version which gives you testing capability and limited capability for export, we needed at least the base level of paid version to do the streaming to Unreal Engine and all that. Now, XSense, I think at the time had an indie license for $7,500 for the suit, and then there was like an annual fee, which was a lot higher. Everything I've seen, YouTube videos and observations and reading, it's much more accurate than this suit, but I'm really not here about like software suits, but I will tell you that there pretty much is a correlation between how much you spend and the quality of data you get. So don't anticipate that the iPhone $30 app is going to give you the same performance as this suit, or the XSense as this, or the optical as this, although some of the zones are starting to merge. But yeah, you'll find that it is kind of like you get what you pay for. So you design a show that uses this creative capability, and you try to do your show within that context. And you don't try to have this suit do great running, combat, leaping kind of actions. For that, you're going to need a better piece of equipment.
Yeah, that was a question we got yesterday, and probably one we can answer now, is that this suit, being an inertial suit, is not really one that you're going to do karate in. I'm not going to do any running, flying kicks, more because of my age, but also because this suit isn't going to track it. As soon as my feet leave the ground, it kind of forgets who I am. So if you have a needs for a suit like that, you are going to want to look at that higher price range for an optical system, or an inertial system with some sort of optical placeholders or milestones, right? Where you have basically a couple of tripods set up that have optical sensors that are then tracking you visually in space as you also gather the 3D inertial data. And then you have to marry that in the software.
Thank you, Brandon. And to be totally fair, that you got to watch the websites, because I know this suit, the next generation, they have some elevation tracking, like they show the suit going up and down stairs and, doing elevation changes. And then they also have an add-on, which is a few $1,000s more to get all the pieces to get, like you said, those sensors. So again, you get what you pay for. Design your thought process around the capabilities that you have. Generally, the process that we have is you have a suit, and in this case, the person demonstrated wearing a Rococo suit also has a Rococo gloves on. And we don't have the gloves here. We actually don't have gloves right now, but it's something that we would like to add to the system. We designed the Cubekin characters with no hands. VeggieTales designed their characters with no arms. We thought, well, we're going to beat them. Our characters are going to have arms and legs, but we decided hands was just too much. And why? Because animating fingers is a lot of work. So then you capture it into the system, the software, and after that, it isn't as if it comes out perfectly. So you take that software or that data and put it into a software like Blender or Maya or 3D Studio Max or Cinema 4D, and you clean up the messy parts. We can demonstrate here we're going to go ahead and fire up the suit and demonstrate a few things about, well, it's totally bailed out on me, Brandon.
That's not surprising.
My license has expired because I have been offline for 24 hours. Oh my Lord. Okay, well, you're gonna, Brandon, you're gonna have to entertain him a minute while I switch back to the Wi-Fi and renew my license. So, real world problems, and if you go to a film shoot, everybody knows probably, and if you don't, you need to know now, You don't show up 5 minutes before the actors. And this is a problem that I did not anticipate, and therefore we are...
Some of these guys were in here earlier. It was working like a champ, wasn't it, guys? So it was rocking. So anyway. All right, so what we'll do is we'll have a little impromptu Q&A while Michael pulls that over and works on that issue. So any questions before we get into the demonstration? Any questions I can answer? Yes, sir, in the back. To do MoCap specifically? All right, so the question is, I'm repeating for the camera, what inspired us to do specifically MoCap? So I would say that there was a season where we went through a lot of prayer trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to do. There's a bit of a story behind that I can go into later unless you guys want to hear it right now. If you do, just yell yes, and if not, I'll keep on trucking. Okay, nobody wants to hear it. Perfect. All right, so Michael was very inspired by watching his young son play Fortnite, actually, with the Unreal Game Engine. He saw the ability that this game had to do things in real time. And so he said, I think we should begin praying about and examining Unreal as an option to do animation. At that point, there were maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that were using Unreal for animation. Most of it was for game design. And nobody was using it for film at that point. And so it's been recently used in film for like The Mandalorian and Love and Robots on Netflix, and more stuff all the time that's being utilized in Unreal. But for us, we really wanted to find a way to allow us to quickly get motion onto characters. And so we decided to explore motion capture to do that. Right? We're a small studio. You're looking at the studio right here. If you go to our website and you look at our team page, we do have some interns and some folks from time to time we're blessed to work with. And we have lots of great partners that we've formed over the last 3 years. But it's pretty much me and this guy. So we're trying to figure out ways to work smarter and not harder, and work faster and cheaper. And so being able to have a suit like this where we can go and get about 80% of the big motions that we want, and then place them onto a 3D character that we can then modify and edit and clean, that's a huge cost saver for us. And it allows us as a small studio to be more competitive in the market for other people that want service work, and then also for us to quickly be able to churn out new content. So, great question.
Brandon, I'm ready for calibration for you. We're back on. I was able to log on and log off.
All right, I'm gonna get calibrated while I get this lady's questions. So go ahead. The question was, and correct me if I'm wrong, what's the line item cost? Right. All right, the range for a line item cost for using MoCap in a budget. Am I done?
You are calibrated.
Okay, great. You guys see me moving? Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to walk around and talk. So I would say that entirely depends on the number of minutes. It's a per minute charge, generally speaking, and it depends on number of minutes and number of characters. So we'll just say if it's one character that you're just capturing data for 10 minutes, it's probably going to be, I don't know, probably $5,000, something like that. Probably what that would wind up being. What now? Yeah, it'll be $5,000 for 10 minutes, so it's like about $500 a minute. So yeah. Yep, absolutely. There was another question over here. Yes. Yeah, I skip everybody for her. Sorry. Yes. That would be generally capturing the data and then like one cleaning pass, right? Is what we would try and do for that. Typically, depending on who's directing and what they want in the performance, you may have to do some additional cleaning passes, and that's not character acting, right? So that's not anything on the face. That's just broad brush motions. Okay. All right. Yes, sir, in the back. My personal favorite example, other than the work we've done,
Gollum.
What did you say?
Gollum. Gollum.
Yeah, I would probably say Andy Serkis and what the Weta team did with Gollum in The Lord of the Rings. That's probably some of my That's kind of what we aspire to one day. That would be great to be able to get to that level. I'm not a big Netflix supporter because of kind of the recent stuff they've been putting out. I was shown some of the Arcane stuff that was done recently. There's a show called Arcane on Netflix, and that is beautiful work. And some of that was done in 2D, some of it was done in 3D, some of it's hybrid, and some of it was done in the Unreal Engine. And it really does broaden the horizons of what you can do in the engine. So I'm really excited about that kind of work as well.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for those questions, and we will leave some time to pick up some more. We were at the stage of the presentation before we had our technical glitch,
yes,
where we were talking about calibration and cleanup. And right now, if you look on the screen, you can see during the time that Brandon's been walking,
my legs always.
He's actually drifted from 0. So we're going to put him back at 0, 0, 0 with a calibration. So pick a spot on the floor, Brandon. This is part of the process. Every time we do a MoCap session, we actually we actually don't have a piece of tape, but we find out what 0 is, and we calibrate the actor at 0. And this particular software uses this pose for calibration.
Right.
And now you're calibrated, and so then we just test, is he walking forward and backwards correctly, right arm, left arm. We can see there's something wonky already happening with the legs here, but that's all right. And you go ahead and walk back down to your dot.
It's probably my sensors.
And what will happen as far as drift goes, we could demonstrate drift. This particular suit is using its impact with the floor to tell the suit that he's on the floor. Now, if he goes and sits down in that chair and raises his legs, at first it will seem all right, and then something will start.
Bye.
So the suit no longer knows where he is. Okay, that was pretty funny. You're still flying around back there. Okay, let's have you stand up.
You want to calibrate me here and show them that?
Stand up and recalibrate you, I think.
All right.
Or do we want to show bad calibration?
We can show bad calibration.
Okay, so calibration presumes a particular pose. And let's say if we calibrate him in the wrong pose, it's going to assume that what he's doing is standing up with his arms by his side. So you're ready now. You can stand up.
Nightmare fuel.
I'm coming for you, precious. I'm coming for you.
And this is simply proof that technology has matured at the
Aquaman.
point. Yeah, when technology improves to the point where it's used simply to get a laugh, you know it has matured. So,
all right, we're ready to recalibrate.
All right, let's recalibrate you. Let's recalibrate you correctly now. Okay, even properly calibrated, there is still some room for cleanup because what we'll show here, touch your head with both of your hands. You can see that it's not doing exactly what he wants. And the system also allows you to put in the exact actor measurements. So you can get more accurate motion. But we found out that even with exact measurements, there's enough like jiggle in the sensors and play that this is where a true like camera-based optical sensor system with 24 cameras is really superior because it gives you this really hard data. Whereas this suit is dealing with motion sensors. Now, if you try to clap, so I don't hear sound, Brandon.
Oh, sorry.
All right, excellent. Brandon, do you have some comments about your?
Yeah, I was just going to say another challenge with this suit is again, while the suit is uncomfortably tight, we'll just say it does slide, right? You're sweating inside this thing. It doesn't breathe like Egyptian cotton or anything like that. So these sensors are sliding on my body as I move, and that's kind of what's causing the legs to twist a little bit. Is the sensors on the legs will twist and shift slightly. And so you're constantly tweaking this and tightening the sensors down and strapping it back where it needs to be.
We could tighten that all up for you.
Let's not tighten it up. We don't. No one wants that, especially me. And so what you have to do, again, we often have to have a handler when we're doing mocap, just to make sure that the suit is being taken care of. You know, the actor is focusing on delivering a performance, right, for a specific character in all of this get up, which is not trivial, right? It's actually pretty difficult to do, to kind of get into character and stay into character with all this gear on. And it's hot, it's uncomfortable. And so you kind of have to have someone that's maintaining the suit as well. So we kind of have a PA there always helping to make sure everything is set for each take so that your data is consistently as good as it can be, because you want to clean as little as possible once you get into the actual 3D software, because it just saves you time. So lots of little technical challenges.
So all that said, I mean, of course, it's amazing technology, and it really did help us to get our show made with fewer animators. We had some cleanup animators, and we were able to do something. Neither one of us are highly experienced animators. I've done it a long time, but character animation is a special skill, and so we were able to get a show made with the help of a recent graduate from college who just came out of their animation program. And really 3 people made that 22-minute show, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had some lighters and some people like that, but mainly 3 people. Yeah.
And the crew for the shoots, though, I think that was really important for the motion capture. This was our shoots, the motion capture sessions. We had other people reading other parts. So we had sometimes the actual actors, sometimes just people reading the lines. So he's acting, he needs somebody to play against. So we had a couple of people in the room with scripts, and they were playing their roles. We had a handler for the suit who would, between each take, just check if something was drifting weird, make sure it was tight. We had somebody that with a clipboard was tracking the takes. You could do it all yourself, but just understand that while the videos from the websites will show one guy and all the stuff he's doing by himself, yes, it's possible. But if you're really doing a production, you need a small crew for the day. And then we'd have the actors, and we found that an actor can stand being that's about 2 hours, right. And their performances really start to go downhill after that. They're getting hot, they're getting tired. It's weird. So plus the technology gets hot, and after about 2 hours, it's got flaky as well.
Speaking of that, we've got about 30 minutes, so we want to go to face capture and then have a little Q&A at the end.
Well, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to jump over to Unreal and show what we showed yesterday. Is the character linked up into the Unreal game engine. And let me see if it's still connected, because we had that little glitch earlier. I'm going to push a couple of buttons. And are you moving in the game engine yet?
I don't know. Doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, let me throw away the connection. Let me verify. This is the process. This product has streaming. It streams to all these applications: Unity, Unreal, Motion Builder, iClone. You can read the list. So we enable streaming to the Unreal game engine. And then here I have the Unreal game engine. And in here I have something called Live Link. And I'm going to add the Rococo Studio suit to the Live Link. And then I'm going to fire up play. And if all goes well,
it's working.
He's working in the world. And, Brandon, I'm going to actually turn you around, or maybe...
Okay. Yeah, just tell me what you want to do. I am your mime puppet. Tell me what you want me to do.
I'm going to just stop you, and I'm going to select you, and I'm going to rotate you in the world more like this, and then hit play again. Where'd you go?
I don't know.
Oh, there you are. Back
I'm
up a
hiding by the table.
I'm hiding by the desk.
Yesterday we demonstrated a lot of stuff going on in the engine, but today I want to get a little more technical and show you what happens underneath, what the guts of this are. This is a stock Rococo character, and he has a certain skeleton. And if I'm going to bring up the skeleton here, a 3D character has bones inside of it, and they have names attached to the bones. And the software has a certain naming convention. And as long as the names match up, it's happy driving, the shoulder and the shoulder. But if you call your bone clavicle and the software calls it shoulder, it's not going to know what to do. Right. So there is a process of what we call retargeting, which is simply saying to the software, the bone that you're receiving, although it's called clavicle, I want you to retarget that to the bone that's called shoulder. And I have a drifting microphone. I'll bring that back up. I have drift going on here as well. So inside the Unreal Engine, what that looks like is I'm going to navigate to this asset and double click it here and bring that up. I have a skeleton here with here's the hierarchy on the left. Yes, on the left with all the bone names. And you can see the individual bones right in here, and they can be selected and manipulated. That's a bad arm movement right there. And then this character has some extra bones for the hair, which don't get driven by the suit. So that would be something that an animator would then add. Maybe a very sophisticated motion capture, you could add something to animate the hair. And then he has built into his face various face shapes. Like here is the jaw open shape. And that leads us to the character face animation part of the system. So for all of this to translate onto a character, the character first of all needs to have a bone system in it, and you need to be sure that the bones are either named correctly or that you've told the software how to translate that information. And for the face to work, it has to have 52 distinct face shapes. So, showing you that, let me see if I can bring that up. Now this may sound very daunting, and there are, and it is sort of daunting if you're trying to start it all from scratch, but there are services available that can help you get this on. I'm gonna jump ahead actually to that slide.
Yep.
And show you the 52 face shapes. And Brandon, would you like me to name them all?
Yeah.
Well, we'll say the simple ones, like blink left, blink right, jaw open. But then there are many like squint left, squint right, eyebrow, middle, center, up.
He's gonna name them all anyway.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop there. But you actually have to pre-build all of these shapes into the character's face. And then the iPhone uses a system, and the system is called the Augmented Reality Kit. And AR Kit, and for those of you that haven't gotten to try it yet, we can pass this around and you can actually try it. It uses depth sensors to then capture your face, and I think we're going to go ahead and put this on you now.
Okay, sure.
All right, so this suit has a special holder that we paid $60 for. I don't know that was worth $60. It's a piece of plastic, but I don't know what else we would do. So,
okay, looks like I'm live here.
All right, let me bring you up, and we'll show you how this works. But long story short, before I go to that, I want you to know that even you could download Live Link Face and you can experience what happens on the phone. I mean, you don't have it attached to some other piece of software, but you could see what Brandon's seeing on like Live Link Face. All right, so now I'm going to bring this back down and close Rococo. I'm going to recalibrate you, sir.
All right, time for recalibration.
All right, stand still. And what this is added now is a face icon up here. So I'm going to drag that onto Brandon, and he gets a face. And now we have live face and body capture going on.
Great.
And this is with an iPhone, which people tell me how much does equipment cost. Well, then we got this iPhone. I got this one off of Walmart. It's an iPhone XR. You need at least a 10 or XR or better. And I paid $400 for it. But I mean, you could easily spend a lot more on an iPhone, right? So it's up to you whether you want to go budget or the latest, greatest. I thought if I was going to have somebody running around with an iPhone on a stick, I would buy the cheaper one. Or even two of them before I bought a $1,200 iPhone and stuck it on a stick. But, okay.
$1,200? Really? Wow. Glad I didn't have to buy it. Wait, I did.
So, I think right now we're about 40 minutes in. I'm probably take another 6-7 minutes, and we'll go to questions. Okay?
Yeah. So be thinking about your questions. Go ahead, Michael. I'm just going to be silly while you're doing your thing.
Well, what I do want to show is the translation of this now from this character onto our Unreal Engine character.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
And
see a mime not talk. Get it?
The connection that we call the live link has two components. It has live link body and live link face. So you can see now, Brandon, do some mouth movements. Well, you have teeth issues, dude.
Oh, well, that's what my dentist
Your
said.
teeth do not translate correctly with your lips. What? But and blink, shut your eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So you guys can all see that happening, right?
No, I can't.
So an opportunity for virtual storytelling. So we could capture this all live and do a performance. It would not be without its glitches, but if that's part of the story, it's a mime who's having some sort of physical body alignment problem.
A crooked mime.
And it's a mime who talks. So
he's a crooked mime.
All right, I'd like to also address like the audio component, and this turned out to be a challenging thing. You're trying to capture an actor who's moving around in a room, capturing their face on an iPhone, but you want to capture their sound at the same time. Now the iPhone will capture the audio, but you may want to consider also miking the character with a lav and capturing the audio through a mixer and have an audio professional, on board at the same time. Or if you're not doing real time, then you may just want to do a body performance and then try to sync up a face performance separately, which has its own challenges. So plus, you might want to work on a carpeted floor because as he's moving around and you're capturing audio, and if any audio people in the room, well, need I say more? Or, there are a myriad of problems that you get wearing a suit with an iPhone, trying to capture audio, and then having a room full of people with them. And these are some of the things we had to learn in our production, is like, wow, we got horrible audio. I mean, good face. But now it's very hard then to sync audio in sort of an ADR way back to the face capture. So best bet is try to capture all at once or separate the two processes where you do. We actually made our own little homemade sound booth, set the iPhone on the table, instructed the actor not to hit the table while they're acting, and do the facial performance. So, all right, that's my audio story.
Time for questions, right?
And last but not least, before we go into questions, I do want to hit on. Okay, we talked about AR Kit and Live Link, and you can download that. There are higher end systems that use markers. So just like the higher end body marker systems, these are more accurate, but I have to say that I feel like that technology is converging, and there's also very high end video systems that, we're talking thousands of dollars, whereas this is like an iPhone and $60 a month software. So there's all the faces. I want to say that yes, there are multiple ways to capture hands, and most systems that are inertial now have hand capture systems, which is really great. We found that the perception neuron system, we had a bad finger sensor, and so there was always a finger doing a weird wiggly thing, and then we had to kind of just delete the data and do that manually. In summary, it's amazing technology. I think it's fantastic to use within its limitations. If you need better data, you're going to probably need more expensive equipment. And I also challenge you just to do creative things for the Lord with even the most simple, cheap equipment you can get, like iPhone-based body capture. Create a character who is weird, who has strange face affectations, or is a puppy, or some weird alien, or something. That uses the tech in the way that it works best. And then when you have more to work with, create a character that works with that new tech.
All right, so what we're going to do as we take some questions and answers is we're going to put the Rococo back up, and we're going to pass the iPhone. It's running the software. And so if you just look at it, you'll see a little rainbow-colored face that shows up. and then you can use your face to power the character up here while I'm the body. We had some fun with this earlier.
Yeah. So who has not had a chance to hold the iPhone?
Yeah,
okay.
So all right, and so while we're doing that, we'll also take questions. So, and for those of you that don't want to learn anything, you can just watch what the insanity that will show up here, because it's going to be crazy.
So, and just to be clear, Brandon's driving the body and head, but somebody in the audience is driving the face.
All right, yes, back there. Go ahead, sir. Right. Well, we love 3D. That's our first love and what we love to do. We're doing some 2D work currently for certain clients, and we enjoy that as well. We're storytellers, right? So again, like Michael said, the tool is kind of just the thing that God has placed in our hands at the moment to be able to go tell those stories. And so for us, we're kind of agnostic in terms of tool sets. We use Blender, we use Maya, we use Cartoon Animator, we use Cartoon Animate, we use Unreal, we use Unity. We use whatever we can to get it across the finish line. But I think in our hearts, we like 3D first and foremost. That's our favorite. So, great question. I'm sorry, for the camera, the question was, what do we prefer to use, 2D or 3D? All right, yes, ma'am, back there. Uh-huh. Right. Right. Correct. I say that's a plus because it helps us a lot in terms of doing things like this. But also, for me, I can hardly function without my glasses on, right? So having those glasses is pretty necessary for me being able to, work. And so the fact that the software is smart enough to know that that's not part of my face is really helpful. And this software also is very similar to what you guys have on your iPhones. What was the app? What was it? Emoji, or what was the app? Huh? Yeah, the Memoji. The Memoji app on your Apple iPhone does the very same thing that this does, but just not nearly as technically proficient. So a lot of that kind of silly Instagram-centric face stuff that goes on where it puts ears on you and noses and makes you like a rabbit or whatever, that technology has led to this, which really helps a lot in terms of being able to produce great content. In the back. I don't know what's going on behind me. And I can't see when I turn around. It's great. All right, in the back. What's the weirdest thing we've ever seen happen while trying to record? Lots of weird things. With 3D, lots of weird things happen because what's going on doesn't necessarily conform to the laws of physics. So we've had characters' eyes literally just jump off their head before. Their hair intersects with their mouth, when they're talking or something like that because of the way the thing is rigged. We had a really crazy thing that kept happening on Cubekins, not necessarily in motion capture, but actually when we're finishing the animation where this one character, whose name is Finn, he's a little blue guy, he kept showing up in scenes over and over again that he wasn't in. But the character would just show up in the shot, and we were like, who put Finn in there? And nobody did. And we're like, we have configuration management, so we can track and see who's opened the file when and how that got in there. And it didn't exist. The creepiest thing was, at the end, we did a special extra bonus scene where Mom sang a song for the kids. Finn's not even in the scene, and yet we see a reflection of Finn in the window. And so we started calling it the Doppelfinn. So he's like a doppelganger, kept showing up. It was super creepy. So yeah, next question, yeah. Uh-huh. Absolutely. So it depends on the scene. Almost always, if it's a character moment, if it's an emotional driven scene, we're going to go in there and we're going to amp that up. We're going to try to push that emotion and really deliver that emotional performance. If it's just a physical performance, we might have to clean it up about 10 to 12%. It's not a lot sometimes. It just really depends on the take. Another thing that we have done as well is like we'll have one actor who's very big, very expressive, and he actually pushes the model too far and makes the model look like really crazy. And so we have to go in animation and tamp him down. We actually have to pull all of his movements down because he's so big and so expressive. And yet we have another lady who plays our mom character, and she's very talented. She can sing and act in different accents, but she almost doesn't move her mouth when she talks. And so we have to go in and we have to really, pump her up. So it's kind of wild what you have to do, but yeah, you're going to have to go in and clean data and adjust, especially to hit those really emotional moments. So. Yeah, and again, it depends primarily on the suit. The question was, are there things we know we can't do in motion capture? For us, big action scenes are just a no-go with this suit because it is inertial based and it's not going to, as soon as your feet leave the floor, you float off into infinity like happened earlier. So we can't really do fight scenes or really big action scenes, but we can get the movements up to that and then we can hand animate that if we need to. Also, the really cool thing about Unreal that we demonstrated yesterday is you can actually apply existing animations from other characters onto your character once they're rigged. So if there's an animation out there that you go by, or maybe a character who has a big jump that you like and you want to pull that in and put it on the character, you can absolutely do that. And then even after that, you can modify it and tweak it. So you get a lot of options and a lot of flexibility. Great question. Any others? Yes, sir. Great question. So the question was basically, what is your workflow, right? And so for us, it's very show dependent, but it typically for us, if we're making a show, what we try to do is capture the actor who's playing the character in MoCap, if we can.
Can I jump in on that? And
yeah,
you would be astonished how much of the actual actor comes through in the 3D character when you use the actor. Like, you do not want a big guy playing a female character, and you know, vice versa. It really, you see it in the walk and the body movement. And so you want to, if all possible, put the actual actor in the suit, because an actor has a talent with their body and their face and their motions, their body language, that it's not just about putting a voice on and then having somebody else do the body.
Right. Also, there's a thing of getting those motions with that audio and that emotional performance all at the same time. So if nothing else, you could use this as a really solid reference if you have to go back in and if you have to tweak it. But for instance, to give you a funny story, we had a young lady who played our Kara character, very saucy young lady. She's a brilliant singer, and she played the little girl, and we had to get some pickups for her. And she had moved to Florida. And so we're like, well, we're not going to fly her back up to just do this little walk. And so I had to go in and pretend like I was a saucy little girl with a mocap suit on. And Michael was like, you're killing me, Brandon. Just like, you're not doing it. You're not being Kara. But finally, I practiced enough and I was able to walk like a little sassy girl. So I'll never admit that again if you ask me. So yeah, back in the back. All right, so the question is, is there a character who is really challenging to do? We have an answer to that? I don't know.
I will say that we did learn that the motion capture suits are best capturing humans being humans. When you start to dramatically distort the proportions of the characters, like the cubekins, for instance, or a little cube or rectangle, you know, they're actually cuboids, but it didn't sound as good as cubekins, the cuboids. They're cuboidal shaped characters with stumpy arms and stumpy legs. And we had this, was it your butt is your neck, or what is?
No, your neck is your butt.
Your neck is your butt. It turned out to work best if whenever the character wanted to turn their body, we just had the actor turn their whole body to move in motion. But if we wanted to twist, they would turn their neck. because their body structure wasn't human, and we had to compensate. Plus, they can't really lift their arms up over their head, so the actors had to do an exaggerated motion. So if you wanted to lift your arms halfway up your body as a Cubekin, what would you have to do in real life?
You would have to do this.
Yeah.
Really big.
That for a Cubekin would be this. So what is neat, though, is if the actor can see themselves performing in the character's skin, then whoever is directing can say, hey, lift your arms higher, and you can see it happening. So I'd say the more you abstract the character, and I've even heard of, early days, there was a show, I don't know if it was JJ Airplane, but there was a mocap guy animating the wings of an airplane with his arms, so it doesn't have to be a human, but it's going to have to be calibrated differently.
Yeah, for instance, we're working on a show right now. The primary characters are dogs. It's a show for kids. And we can't use this at all for that, right? There's really no correlation between canine physiology and movement and human, even if you get down on all fours. And believe me, we've tried. We don't want to see that behind the scenes footage, I guarantee you. So some stuff you just can't do with mocap right now. So I would say anything that's not human is a great answer for that question. I don't know how we are on time. How are we on time? Is anybody tracking?
I have 4 minutes left.
Okay, great.
So a few more questions.
So we got time for questions. Any more questions? Sure. Yeah. That is a great question. The answer was, hey, it's probably expensive to make animation. The answer is yes. It's thousands of dollars per minute, if not more than that. That's like kind of the bottom end of decent animation. It starts out at about $1,000 to $2,000 per finished minute of animation, and that's like really the stuff that we really don't want to produce. We want to start getting up into the tens or hundreds of thousands per minute for animation. That is so labor intensive.
Yeah, Lord willing. And I will say, for a benchmark, a show like Cubekins might be for a music video, $3,000 a minute, to a really an acting scene, it might be $6,000-$7,000 a minute. Right. Now that includes not just the animation, but that's the whole production. The crew, the writing, the people. But not counting for any advertising, marketing, distribution. But we are giving you prices that range, from 2 to 10. Surely, like a Pixar film, if you take the whole budget, it's $200 million for 90 minutes. So right. That's a whole nother scale.
Yeah, exactly. The secular market these numbers are at the bottom end of that scale, right? But the question was, how can you guys support? So one is we have a Patreon. So you can go and support us on Patreon, at least $1 a month up to $100 a month if you want. And that's a really primo level, and you get to actually work on projects with us. So Patreon, spreading the word, letting people know that we're out there. A lot of people don't know who we are, so please spread the word. Hook up with us on social media. We're on all the social media platforms. We're either at Brandy Pixel or at Brandy Pixel Productions. And I would say the two last ones are, tell your friends, tell your family, tell the people you go to church with. We are Christian animators trying to make amazing, top quality content for Christian people. And it's not just kids. We're making it for all ages. And a lot of the jokes and stuff in Cubekins, the adults are going to laugh harder than the kids, because that's kind of the kind of stuff we like to make. And then last is, if you see something of ours that you would like to pick up, by all means, purchase it, because those dollars go right back into production. And if you have a production company, or if you know someone and you want to partner with us, we are very open to partnerships. So,
all right. Anybody did not get to do their face yet?
Yeah. Did everybody get to do the face, the funny face?
All right.
All right. Back there. One more question. Or we got two more questions. Go ahead. Here you go. Well, praise the Lord, we can't answer that question because we've taken really good care of it and it hasn't broken yet. However, we do have a spare suit with a whole separate set of sensors. So we could simply just take the sensors out of that suit and put them into the broken suit. The sensors are interchangeable. The suit is really just to fit the person, and so that you can wash it. I'm sorry, the question was, what do you do when the suit breaks?
Send it to Amsterdam.
Yeah, and the other response is you can pack it up and send it to Amsterdam and pay for them to repair the sensors. So and there are several of them in there, and there's really no way to tell which one isn't working. So it's probably a lengthy process. So great question. What? 1 minute. All right. Any other questions? Yes, at the back. So the question is are there like animation courses or classes or videos out there to teach people how to do this? Is that the question? Is that correct? So yes, there's a ton of stuff out online that you can go for free. You can find, for instance, what we were talking about yesterday was Unreal, which is one of the pieces of software that we're using here today. They have a massive free documentation section with literally hundreds of documents and hundreds of hours of video documentation on how to do this. They are very, very interested in having people utilize this software for video games, for film, and for animation. And they have a very strong learning component to what they're doing. There's a ton of stuff out there you can go learn.
I could add that regardless of the form of animation, you would want to start by Googling or YouTube the 12 principles of animation. It will talk about motion and squash and stretch and all the basic animation principles. And there are great books out there, and you could Google or Amazon those, and you're going to see by the reviews. But the Animator's Handbook, and there are good websites. We probably can send you even a list of links if you want to email brandypixelproductions@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to answer those questions specifically.
Yep. All right, so I think our time is up. So thank you all so much for being here. Feel free to come up and check out the MoCap suite if you want. We've got cards and flyers up here. If you want to connect with us, you can do so via that, and you can sign up to our mailing list if you're interested in following us or letting know what we do. And definitely connect with us on social media. Thank you guys so much for being here.